Now, it's said that most millionaires in the United States are created through real estate investing. And I think that's 100% true. But not all strategies within real estate are created equal, right? You can buy turnkey property, you can buy property that needs work or value add, right? And some of these vehicles are able to generate more wealth than others. And in specifically value add, right? The process of when you buy a property, do some sort of construction or renovation and create some equity, I think is one of the best ways for everyone to build a lot of wealth, right? Because you're creating that spread. So what I thought I would do in this video is talk about the 5 key components of the strategy that you have to have mapped out before you go tackle your first value add or renovation project in multifamily, right? And this will apply to you whether you're buying a small building, large building. I'm gonna focus on the small building side, but these are the things you have to map out in order to successfully execute. So we're gonna get after it right now. What's going on, guys? My name is Lior and welcome back to my channel. Now, before I get into the meat and potatoes, 2 super quick things, guys. Number 1, if this is your first time on my channel, first of all, welcome. Second of all, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Putting out tons of content every single week, talking everything, real estate, multifamily investing, talk about construction, renovations, strategies, management. I give you insights into my own projects and literally everything in between. And number 2, guys, as I get into these 5 key components of your strategy that need to be mapped out, I actually put together a cheat sheet of these 5 components on a nice PDF just to summarize so that you can keep these even after you get off this video. So if you want that, make sure you click in the download link below in the description, grab it for free, and it's gonna be a great tool for you to use as you map out your own strategy. So with that, let's go right into it. And like I said, we're gonna talk about 5 key things you need to have mapped out before you start to execute on your own value add or renovation projects in the multifamily space. And let's get right into it with component number 1, which is you gotta figure out your deal profile, right? And what I mean by deal profile, of course you need to know, the size of the building you want, the kind of max purchase price that you can take down. But the other important thing, especially in this context, is figuring out the scope of construction that you're comfortable taking on, right? And especially if this is your first or one of your first projects, you want to have a pretty defined scope because chances are you're probably not comfortable taking on any sort of construction project, right? Maybe you just want to do a kitchen and bath job or maybe even a lighter job, right? Maybe you are super ambitious and you want to take on a gut rehab. There's a big spectrum of different types of construction projects. So make sure you really are, kind of think through what are you comfortable with? What kind of scope of work are you okay taking on? And once you kind of have that down between, construction scope, purchase price, building size, then you can really start to build around, network with brokers, wholesalers, and really get super tight on criteria and filter deals really quickly, right? I tell everyone your goal and your objective is to be able to filter deals within like 30 seconds to a minute, right? That's how I do it. I get texted a deal. I know pretty quickly if I'm gonna be interested in it or not. Number 2 component you wanna figure out is your debt financing, right? And as you probably already know, if you're gonna take on construction projects, and especially if you're gonna need construction financing, you're not gonna be able to use residential loans, right? Residential loans do not have any sort of construction component to it. So you're actually gonna have to take a look at commercial loan options, right? And when you're dealing with commercial loan options, you're gonna deal with 2 different types of options. You're either gonna use hard money loans or you're gonna take on commercial loans from local community banks in your area. And I'm gonna do a separate video really breaking down these 2 kind of strategies and these 2 different options. But at a high level, basically, they depend on your level of experience and your balance sheet and liquidity that you have. But regardless, you're probably gonna choose either one. And then you kind of want to get a pretty, at least a high level sense of what kind of terms you're going to be able to get, right? So you want to know what kind of LTVs you can get. You want to know whether you can get construction 100% finance, if that's something you need. You want to have a general feel of interest rates, points, right? Because you're going to need to use all of this in your underwriting or, deal analysis in order to, really put together tight numbers. So you really want to figure that out. figure out the terms, the construction financing, and everything that goes into your overall debt package for this kind of deal. Number 3 component that you want to figure out is your contracting team, right? And ideally you have 2, maybe 3 GCs in mind that you can get to quote out the job, right? So you have a couple of different quotes. And look, here's what I tell people too. Obviously the number that they come in is important, and if someone is like really overpriced, you don't want to use them. But there's some other things that you really want to be on the lookout with contractors, right? Number 1 is responsiveness, right? This is absolutely key. I mean, you don't want to hire some cheap contractor that never answers your phone calls, that you can't get in touch with. You have no idea what the project status is. You have no idea if they're going to be on site. Trust me, I've been there. That is, I would pay a lot of money not to deal with those headaches, right? Because those can be really, really stressful. So responsiveness is huge. References, you want to talk to other clients of this contractor. Just get a feel of have they done this kind of scope of work? What has their experience been with, in terms of communication, showing on time, responsiveness, getting the job done, right? Those are all key things I would definitely filter. And the other one too I would look at is how do they strategically approach your project, right? Because my favorite contractors tend to be the contractors that can also think a little strategically in terms of return on investment, right? And they can tell you, hey, if your goal is to rent out, I would spend a little bit more money here, right? We can do this X, Y, and Z to make your unit really pop out. It could be a pretty cost-effective solution, right? So I really like those contractors that kind of take that extra step and not just, say, hey, I'll do whatever you want, but can really also give, their opinion on cost-effective approaches. Here, here's what I would add to this package, to get the highest return. I think that's an awesome touch to have from your contractor. Number 4 component you want to have kind of lined up and ready to go is private money. And here's what I mean by that, right? If you're going to be using your own funds for the down payment and soft costs, fantastic. But as you've probably seen from my other videos, if you really want to build out your portfolio and scale out this operation, chances are you're going to need private money lined up, right? For that down payment and potential soft costs for each project. Now, you don't need firm investors from your private, from your private money partners before you have a deal under contract, but you do want to feel pretty confident that you've got a couple of sources you can go to when the time comes, when you put that deal under contract. You can make a couple of calls and raise that money, right? So again, you don't need super hard commitments, and usually people won't give you hard commitments until you show them the deal. But you want to feel pretty confident that when you put something in, it's not you're not going to be scrambling for that cash, and that you can put that deal together. And finally, component number 5 that I would think about and map out is your leasing and property management team. Now, a little bit less important to have super tight up front, but definitely something you want to at least think about, right? Leasing is going to be a huge, huge component, especially if you're in a cyclical market, right? For example, I'm in Boston, and in Boston, we're very September 1st heavy in a lot of our neighborhoods. So if you're kind of doing a project in the summer, it's really important to hit that September 1st deadline, right? But having a leasing team with experienced local agents is absolutely key. The really good agents can either get your units pre-rented while you're still in the construction, or they can also help you kind of guide you in terms of finished packages. They can tell you, hey, in this neighborhood, you probably need to go a little bit higher end. You should maybe do backsplash or whatever, nicer cabinets, whatever it may be, right? So having good leasing agents that are really local and know the market in and out, very, very helpful. And also having a property management lined up, also going to be super key. Obviously, if you're self-managing, not as important, but if you're going to do third-party PM, right, having that PM lined up so that your operations post-construction are ready to roll without interruptions is absolutely key. So those are the things I would really map out. As I said in the intro, make sure you download that free cheat sheet. I put in the link below. It'll kind of map out these components with a couple of details that you really need to think about. But these are the things I would map out before going into my first renovation project. I wish I did this before I did my first couple, right? It would have made my operations a lot smoother. So there you have it. Of course, guys, if you have any questions, make sure you shoot them in the comments below.